すがは仮にも影の名を背負う忍びたちだ。ならば内浜田らも全力で応えよう。おかげも何も全てが無駄になることも。
Good afternoon, everybody. It is I, the EQ Bard, and I am once again back to the Raptors. I got 53, I think the last time we had a video up, and I am doing the grind to 54. Unfortunately, it takes a little bit longer at the earlier levels to kill these, both because you get a higher number of resists, and it's going to take a little bit longer on Nothingman than it did Greased Up, because Greased Up was lucky enough that he had picked up a loot from Maestro in Plane of Hate. And it was the 6-string loot, which is like the second best loot in game, possibly best offhand loot. I know the VP loot for bards is rather nice as well. It's primary. It's able to be held in the primary hand. I can't remember if the song modification is better than the one out of Hate though, and I'm not going to look it up while I'm in the middle of kiting stuff. So, the next 7 levels are going to look very similar to what Greased Up did, but will probably take a little bit more time. 53 to 54 definitely is going to take some time because I'm still getting a good number of resists from these guys. So, now right there at the top of the screen, there's a resist right there. So. But I have very much got my style perfected with Raptors. So it's just a time in the saddle situation. That didn't look good. That one popped forward there. Never liked that. Could be just a random server tick or a graphical bug. I've already done a few rounds here. I'm getting about 12% per cycle. So, probably not going to be putting up too many new videos. Just because you guys saw me do this on Greased Up just a couple months back. Or at least not too many new Bard videos. I do have U-Bard is created, and I'm getting him geared right now. My intention with him is to have him basically to play with him and get him out into the world and showing people, and ideally not necessarily all solo stuff like I've done with Greased Up and Nothingman. I've kind of shown what the Bard's capable of solo, so I'd like to work on some group activity with U-Bard, and you know, not have the same content all over again. Now with Nothingman, I have hit some spots that I haven't hit previously. I had not done the Spy Rocks on a Bard previous to Nothingman. I had attempted to do the bees with Greased Up, but I hadn't quite got the rhythm right, and I was coming off of working on the Raptors here, so I think there was it was also, I think, level 57, 58. It was late in the Bard and a lot of the stuff was green, so I didn't really see the value of it. Not hitting everything the way I would like to. A little less chatter, a little more focusing on hitting stuff. There we are. That was a good one. So I've got U-Bard starting to get decked out in the classic Bard Lambent armor, the nice bright blue armor that most people associate with Bards. Greased Up had that up until I started collecting armor from Ragefire on him. The intent with Nothingman is basically to get him to replace Greased Up in Kale, which if you've seen Greased Up online, he's basically he sits at Kale at this point and does raid mobs. So he's on Vindies, he's on Statue AOW, polls, basically anything happening in Kale, I've got Greased Up on that. Although I've got him well equipped enough that I'd like to get him out and playing in the world a little bit more. Possibly get him over to TOV and playing there. I do have another Bard, Funk, that has most of the Kunark armor. So track BP, track legs, with the nice clickies on them. We should see stuff starting to die here. There we are. Now things are starting to die off. Currently at 33, I'm expecting to be 45? At least 40. I don't know why, but for some reason the Raptors are just not given the punch of experience that I was remembering getting on Greased Up. And that just could be I hadn't played a Bard in a while and it felt like I was getting a lot, and now I leveled Nothingman and I have the feeling of what getting a lot is, a lot of experience on a Bard, and now the Raptors seem slow to me, which is, I think, kind of what happens with me and Bards. But we'll see what 45 feels, or 55 feels like. I know 54 is going to be a slog because it's a double hell level, and those are always painful. So at 40%, yeah, I'll probably get 43%. So I'm getting about 10% per cycle at 53. Not great. And if you have any suggestions on where to go swarm at, please put them in the comments. Keep in mind that with P99's current Bard restrictions, we're not allowed to go to City of Mist and swarm We're not allowed to swarm in Velks. Although I've seen some bards kind of bypass that by swarming in groups. And I don't know how much of how legitimate that is. It's legitimate for the group at least in getting experience, but I've seen them pull from the upper ramps all the way down to the entrance, and then have the groups AoE and kill stuff. So I can't think that's kind of a letter of the law versus a spirit of the law type situation. I'm kind of ambivalent on if that's a good thing or not. So like I said, it's taking a little bit longer than it was taking with Greased Up, but the strat is still the same. Run around in circles. Alright. Thanks for watching.